Hey guys, so welcome back. So today's video is gonna be another tutorial. So I went through my makeup yesterday and I found an eyeshadow that I've never used, and since I got it, I was always like, oh, I need to use this eyeshadow, I need to use this eyeshadow, and I never got around using it. So this whole look today is inspired by this eyeshadow. So the one that I'm talking about is this one. This by Clarins, Ombre Matte, in the shade number 5 Sparkle Grey. I got this, when was this? I'll say a little bit over a year ago, and I've never used it. And every time I would swatch it, I would say, oh, I need to use it, I need to use it. So today, that's what we're doing. So let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. Alright, put my hair back. So I'm gonna start with this Badescu facial spray with aloe, cucumber and green tea. This is my favorite. I've talked about this before. It smells so amazing and refreshing, but it doesn't taste good, so make sure to keep your mouth closed while you spray this. And I'm gonna let that sink in a little bit. And by the way, this is supposed to be used before you do your moisturizer and your primer. Now I'm gonna zoom you in. So I'm gonna start by priming my eyes, and today I'm gonna be using the Milani eyeshadow primer. I haven't used this in ages. I usually just use a concealer for that, but today I thought, since I'm using products that I've never used or I haven't used in a while, I might as well just use this one. This doesn't really have much of coverage, but this is just supposed to make your eyeshadow last longer. It does have a tiny bit of coverage, but not really that much. Okay, and I'm not gonna set or do anything. This dries actually, and it doesn't really need to be set. But also I am using a cream eyeshadow, and I think it works much better if you don't have a powder before you put the eyeshadow. So this eyeshadow looks like this. It's such a beautiful gray color, but I would say it has a little bit of warmth to it. It's not too cool toned of a gray. So that is beautiful. So this is the first time I am applying it to my eyes. This is so pretty. Back in the day, I used to use MAC Club eyeshadow, which looks a little bit like this, but has a little bit more of a green to it. But I really liked it, and I would just use it all over my lid, and I'll just go out like that. And I did it very often, so I haven't used shades like this in a long time. Now what I'm gonna do is I wanna see if I can blend out the edges so that I don't need to use another eyeshadow on top, because if that's the case, then this is a very quick one eyeshadow thing. You don't need to use too much product. Okay, let's see. Gonna try. Yes, it is kind of working, but I would say that my eyeshadow primer is still a little bit tacky, so it's not allowing it to blend as much as I thought it would. Or maybe it's the eyeshadow itself doing it, I'm not so sure. Or maybe it's this brush. Okay, it is blending out. Okay, I do like it like this, and I would leave it like this. I just feel like I need to give it something extra. I'm just gonna try something, and I don't know if that's gonna work. I'm gonna take my Zoeva Aristo palette, and I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, which is called Naturalistic, which is a very beautiful khaki green. I think they might look nice together. If they don't, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, I think they do go well together. I just want to give it a little bit more shape. Oh yeah, I like it more actually. Okay, and now I'm gonna take a clean blending brush, and I'm just gonna buff out the edges. Okay, I think that's good enough actually. Now that we've used an eyeshadow to blend out the edges, I feel like we kind of lost a little bit of the intensity of that cream eyeshadow, so I'm gonna go with my finger again and just put some more just to bring it back to life. I'm not sure if this shadow is gonna crease because I haven't used it on its own before, or used it before in general, but what I want to do is use this Inglot pigment on top. This is in the shade 80. It is a very similar shade, but I swatched this eyeshadow yesterday and then I put this on top, and it looks so gorgeous. And also I've never used this one before. This is actually quite new, so I thought this is the perfect chance to use it. So I'm just gonna try to take some with my finger basically and go over it. Oh wow, pigments are more difficult to use, but they give such a beautiful look to the eye. I'm just gonna take my brush that I used, that green eyeshadow, and I'm just gonna define the crease a little bit. I don't want the pigment to go too high. I haven't done a look like this in forever. I don't even remember when was the last time. It might look a little bit crazy now that I don't have anything else basically, but everything is gonna look much better at the end when I put foundation and concealer and lashes and everything. Okay, now I'm just taking a makeup wipe and just gonna clean out my under eyes basically. I don't have any fallout or anything. I just got some eyeshadow there while I was pressing the pigment. So I'm gonna move on to my face. So I'm gonna start with a primer, and I'm using the Smashbox for the Finish Primerizer. I'm just gonna do a couple of drops just because I need some more hydration. And I really love this primer. Apply it with my hand. This is a very hydrating primer. That's why I love it so much. This is probably my most hydrating primer. Okay, I want to be extra glowy today. To be honest, that's the case most of the time. So that's why I'm gonna be using the Linda Hallberg Infinity Glass. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some to my cheekbones. This is a very dewy product. So if you want to look like you've been sweating, then use this one all over your face and you'll definitely achieve that look. Okay, my sponge kind of dried, so I'm just gonna spray some Pixi. This is just a fixing mist with rose water. To be honest, I don't really love the way it smells, so I'm just gonna finish it up, and then I don't think I'm gonna be buying it again. I actually don't need my sponge, so I'm just gonna use my fingers. This is just gonna give you a wet looking glow, that's for sure. This is also a little bit sticky, so it's gonna help the product to stick if you put it all over your face. But today I'm just gonna use it on my cheekbones, a little bit on my nose and my forehead. I'm gonna put a lot of glow products. This is just the beginning, so I'm just gonna move on to my foundation right now, and I'm using the Aligiai Pro Coverage High Definition Long Wear Illuminating Foundation. This was a very long name. This is in the shade Fair, but this is a little bit too dark for me, so I'm just gonna mix it with some white foundation. I find that the shades with Aligiai in general are a little bit off. I mean, Fair, this is not fair. This is quite dark, to be fair. And also, I did buy the matte foundation in the shade Light Tan, and I would say that's more like Deep Tan. You always have to go quite light with this foundation, and actually from the pictures that I saw on the website, they did look quite lighter, so that's why I was fooled many times by this brand when it comes to foundation shades. But they do have a good shade range, which is good. So I'm just gonna go and take a flat brush and just apply that to my face. I could do that with my finger, but so this matches me quite well, and I'm just gonna put it everywhere basically. So the other day I started using this brush again to blend out my foundation because all of my other brushes were dirty, and I remember that I really like this brush for foundation, and this is a Primark brush. It was like £4 or something, and it's actually very good. I find that this foundation is a little bit streaky, and this one helps with that. It makes it a little bit less streaky. I do go with my sponge on top. I always do that, but I'm just saying. And just like I said, I'm gonna go in with my sponge and remove any streaks, especially from my nose. I find that it looks the streakiest around my nose and on top of my nose, so this really helps. Now I did put quite a thin layer of that foundation. I feel like it can get to a medium coverage, but I'm just gonna leave it like that because I don't want to put too much foundation. I'm just gonna go and cover any breakouts that I have with concealer. I'm gonna take my Shave Tape in the shade Light Medium and just put it underneath my eyes, a little bit on my breakout, just a little bit on my nose. Although this shade is a little bit dark to highlight, just gonna blend it out. I feel like the Real Technique sponges have gotten harder. I feel like they used to be more fluffy and more soft. I don't know if that's just me. No, I need a lighter shade. I'm gonna take my Makeup Revolution concealer in the shade C2, which is very light, and that's gonna mix things up and make it the perfect shade. Now everything looks more even and more fresh. Now before I set anything, I'm gonna go ahead and use my liquid products. So I'm gonna be using the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless. I can never say this. Hollywood Flawless filter in the shade number 3, Light Medium. The reason why I'm doing it before I set my eyes is because the other day I'll just set right here around my eyes, not like everywhere. When you already have powder, it's so much more difficult to blend the product and it might look a little bit weird. So that's why I'm using this one first, and then I'm gonna set my under eyes right underneath here. I don't want to set them everywhere. I don't want to use a lot of powder. And I'm gonna go ahead and use my sponge, and that's gonna make it more airbrushed, although this product is already quite airbrushed. That is a beautiful natural glow. So I'm gonna use my Hourglass Veil translucent setting powder. I'm gonna try to remove any creases first, and then I'm gonna take a tiny amount with my sponge and just press it right underneath my eyes, just so that we avoid any creasing. Okay, now I'm just gonna do my brows off camera because they take forever, and then I'll be right back. Okay, brows are done. I'm gonna move on to my face. I'm gonna be setting only this part of my face and a little bit my forehead because that's where I'm gonna be applying my bronzer, and I don't want to have a sticky base because the bronzer might stick to it and not blend that well. So I'm gonna be using the Wet n Wild contouring palette in the shade Dulce de Leche, and I'm gonna be taking this yellowy shade right here and just set down where I want to set. I want to leave this part right here not set where I put my highlighter because it's just going to mattify it, and we don't want that. We want to be glowy. Okay, I feel like contouring today, so I'm gonna be using this shade to contour. I'm actually using this Real Techniques what is this called? Expert face brush. This is supposed to be a foundation brush, but I really like it for contouring. That's how it is when you wear earrings before you do your makeup. Try and drag it up here, maybe a little bit too much, but I'm gonna go and put some bronzer on top and it's gonna be blended a little bit better. So for my bronzer, I'm gonna be using the Catrice Sun Glow Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade medium brown, I think. Yes, no, medium bronze. As you can see, I've hit pan. I really like this bronzer, but it's a little bit pigmented, so I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. Just gonna warm up the face, bring it up here, my forehead, that's important. Okay, maybe I gone a little bit too crazy with bronzer, but who cares? And I keep going. Done with the bronzer, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and set my brows in place. And I always set my brows after I do my bronzer because I feel like when you go with a brush, you might disturb the shape of them. So now that I'm done with the bronzer, I can just fix them and they'll stay like that. I'm using the brow gel, by the way. This is gonna keep them like this all day. Okay, I think it's time to finish off the eyes. Let me just zoom you in. Now this part is a little bit difficult just because we used a cream eyeshadow and I don't really feel like putting cream eyeshadow in my lower lash line. So I think what I'm gonna do is start with this shade right here that we blended in and crease. Put it everywhere basically. And I'm just really gonna try to connect the V shape that we created. No, that went a little bit too far. Maybe this brush is a little bit too big. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that because I'm making it worse. I'm gonna take my pigment that we used in our lid, and I'm taking a flat brush, take some and then dust off the excess and just try to run it very close to the waterline just to make it a little bit more intense. Now if you feel like you went too low, just take the brush that we used before and blend out the edges. Now it's time for lashes, and today I'm gonna be using the House of Lashes Iconic Light. Okay, lashes are on. Now I'm gonna put some lower lash mascara, and I'm using the Maybelline Rocket Volume Mascara. This is actually waterproof, which is nice. Just gonna use a very small amount. And now I'm gonna put some more highlighter, and the one that I'm using is the Colourpop On The Cusp highlighter. I really like it because it's a cream product and it's gonna give you that natural looking glow, which I really like. And also I'm gonna put some in my inner corner. Ooh, that's pretty. And I'm just gonna take my sponge and just go over it a tiny bit, mostly around the edges. Now I'm gonna do some blush, and the one that I'm gonna be using is the e.l.f. Candid Coral blush. It's very nice because it's not so intense and you can build it up. You don't go too crazy at once, just to give some color. If you thought that I was done with the glow, you're wrong. I'm gonna be using the Pixi Glow Mist. This is a very nice setting spray with argan oil. This is going to give you even more glow. So you have to shake it first and go crazy with it. Look at that now. So I decided to go in with the Colourpop Luxe lipstick, I think it's called, in the shade Happy. Okay, I think this is it. This is the final look. I actually really like the way it turned out. This combination right here, it's gorgeous. I'm gonna be using it much more often. I really like it. Alright, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!